What is up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. I'm here with my co-host, Marshana, Dahlia. So last night, 90 Day Fiance, Season 9, Episode 11, everyone was featured on this episode. No one took a break. So with that said, we have to jump right in and dive in and talk about everything that happened because we're probably going to run out of time. So I want to start out with Emily and Kobe. So we watched them in a good place go mattress shopping. And then we watched Kobe take Emily's dad, David, and her sister ring shopping. And what really got to me was she told Kobe about the ring that she bought. She said that she was going to return the ring, right? So there was going to be no harm, no foul. So telling him about the ring, I think, has made his trust in her less because he felt as though she didn't trust or have faith in him to do what he was going to do. Well, he had already bought a ring. So I want to make sure I bring this up in China, but she was not satisfied with the ring because it wasn't a real diamond. So first of all, what do you think about her not being satisfied with the first ring? But the first ring, I feel like, has the most sentimental value.
I agree that the first ring has the most sentimental value, but I'm going to go back to why did you accept the proposal if the ring wasn't up to your standards? You know, if the issue of the ring is that deep to you, then you don't accept the proposal until I don't know. Here's the bottom line. She put pressure on him to get a ring. She's been talking about it, nagging about it. So he goes and he gets her a ring. And then her father is there and he's upset because he says, oh, I think that this is stupid to kind of spend money on the ring. But Kobe's not the stupid one, actually, David. Now, I don't want to call anybody stupid, but the idea came from Emily. Like it was all Emily's idea and Emily's pressuring him as to why he would even spend money on a ring right now when they don't really have it. So there we go.
I mean, I agree. Her dad said when he was there, he said, I'm here to make sure that he doesn't go crazy and buy a ring that he cannot afford to please Emily. So even her dad knew that this pressure, and it was unnecessary pressure, was put on him. And she has this really high expectation of almost like a Disney princess themed wedding and life. And she deserves this ring with so many different carats. And she has to have everything a certain way. And she's always asking other people to pay for it. She has her parents paying for the wedding. She has Kobe buying a ring that he can't even really afford. And we're just going to wait and see how this ends up at the altar, because at this point, they don't really see eye to eye on much. Kobe is spending most of his time trying to put out fires. You know, he's trying to keep Emily happy, keep her smiling and not complaining. And it's becoming a huge job.
Yeah, it's a full-time job. And honestly, I don't think there's any way or anyone who could absolutely please Emily.
All right, so let's talk about Shida. So she decided to call her sisters, her little birdies, and she told them everything that took place on their little trip to Atlanta. And I think that she is finally taking a step to standing up for herself. Because she said, oh, well, he wants me to sign a prenup, even though he told me that we weren't going to have a prenup. And her sisters were like, well, that means that he doesn't trust you. And if he gets to draft up a prenup and it protects him in every way that he wants to be protected, you should have a say in how you are being protected in that prenup. And she requested a consultation with his lawyer. And the look on his face showed that he wanted nothing to do with her having a say in that prenuptial agreement. So I think that him referring to a marriage as a business, and I agree, everything is a business. The United States of America is a business. The state of Ohio, the state of Florida, they're all a business. But when you're putting the business over love in a marriage, how long is it really going to last?
And business should always come before love in a marriage. Don't get me started on this subject, okay? I know, unpopular opinions, that's what I'm known for. So the business aspect of the marriage is first, and then you can love each other. But you got to have your business in order first. I've always felt this way personally, right? Because you can love somebody until the end of time, but if the business, the financials, the agreements on money, and all of that is not in place, all the love will not balance it out. I'm a fan of love is not enough. That being said, that's all I'm going to do to be nice to you this week, Bilal, because let's get into the meat and bones. This is nonsense. And this goes to show how much Bilal is not interested in protecting Shida, loving Shida, caring for Shida. It's all about loving, protecting, and caring for himself. if he was going to be fair in a prenup, he should be completely okay with Shaida asking to speak to his lawyer about the prenuptial agreement, or even getting her own lawyer to review the prenuptial agreement. And a prenuptial agreement is usually a negotiation. Here, these are the terms that you have set forth with your lawyer, and we would like to add these amendments, or we would like to take these things out. If he was never interested in coming to any sort of agreement with the prenup and just shoving it to her on a date that was
Right.
supposed to be romantic and demanding that she signs it, it just tells you the kind of person that we all know he is.
Absolutely. And like you said, I feel like when you're drafting up a prenup, I've never done one, but aren't both parties supposed to be present when you tell the lawyer what you want and then they draft it based on both parties?
Not necessarily. So the person who usually has the most assets is probably the person who's going to initiate the prenuptial agreement and present it to the other party and say, hey, this is what my lawyers and I have come up with. This is the prenuptial agreement. Sign it or not, or take a moment to review. In most states, they require that you give the other party at least a period of like 3 or 4 business days or something like that, maybe even longer, to review the prenup and come back with amendments and adjustments. The process of coming back or returning the prenup with, hey, these are my amendments, is completely standard. I don't know many people who simply just sign the prenup that was
Right.
presented to you. I mean, you can, but it's very natural, very common, very much a part of the process to say, hey, here are our amendments.
Hearing the way it works, it makes me like them even less
Mhm.
because it's very one-sided. It's not really a group effort because when you're getting married, you're becoming a team and you're a unit. But doing something behind the other person's back and having it drawn up, I don't care for that. That's just my unpopular opinion, I guess. But speaking of unpopular opinion, so apparently Eve wants a baby with Muhammad, right? So we learned last night that she feels like he would be an amazing father, which I'm not 100% sure where she gets that from because he usually is looking for her to take care of him and see after his needs. But he has made it clear that he's not interested in being a father to her child because he doesn't want that child to be confused on religion. And I think that this is a big deal because religion is something that in America, at least, you can be married to somebody who is a completely different religion of you and you can coexist. But in his culture, it doesn't really work that way. You can't really have mixed religions in your household. Where do you land on this? If your child was a different religion than you, would it bother you? Or if you wanted to raise your child a different religion, how do you feel?
My son is already a different religion than me. My son was baptized into the Roman Catholic Church. My husband has completed all of his sacraments for being a Catholic. I am non-Catholic. That's that. So I mean, when we looked at it, and even though I guess we would both fall under the umbrella of Christianity, Roman Catholicism is very unique, and I am not as such. But it was important to my husband for his son to be Roman Catholic. Eve, Eve, you're okay with Iman raising his child as a Muslim or not. And I love Muhammad. I'm telling you, I'm so team Muhammad because he's just so clear, concise. He doesn't speak in metaphors and similes. He says what's on his mind and he gets it out. He said, if my child will not be a Muslim, then I prefer not to have a child. He's like, I'm okay with foregoing fatherhood because I don't want to be a father to a child who's not Muslim. Like, he has said that explicitly. If that's a problem for you, Eve, why are we still here? What are we talking about? Because he is very clear. And I'm not saying that it has to be his way or the highway, but I think, and I do believe Muhammad when he said from all along for the past 2 years, I have been clear about who I am. I think Eve thought that it would be different when he came to the United States. And I also think that Muhammad thought it would be different and that Eve would adjust. I think they both had unrealistic expectations, each of the other. But I mean, like I said, I had to do it, Eve, and it might not be as an extreme to some people, but my son is Roman Catholic and I am not.
Yeah, I really don't see the big deal in it. And I think she's making it a big deal. And she's like, oh, well, what if he wants to go with his mom and he doesn't want to? I think that it's not a big deal raising your child a different religion as you or letting the husband take the child to a mosque and then you could take the child to whatever religion. It's more so Muhammad thinks that the child will be confused. And I understand where he's coming from, because teaching your child one thing and then teaching your child something contradicting is very confusing. And then they're going to have to feel like they might need to pick sides. You know, well, mommy does this, daddy does this. Who do I want to support? And I understand that. And I think that the transparency from Muhammad is what a lot of people don't get in relationships. He'll tell you, this is what I want, and if we can't come to an agreement on that, I don't want it. And a lot of people, like especially with Bilal, instead of saying I don't want kids, let's just end it now, he refuses to do what Muhammad does and just be transparent. He keeps stringing Shida along, and he keeps putting off the conversation. Transparency is so important, and I feel like what you said, Muhammad has always been transparent with, even we've watched it here in America. Once he got here, he's told her things, and she said, oh, well, I thought that we could compromise, or I thought that, no, he's told you and you're just not listening. And listening is very important. Eve, you have to listen to your man. He wants to be a Muslim father. He wants a Muslim son, and he's a Muslim man, and he's made that very clear. 2 years before he arrived, he made it clear, and now we are here. And I don't think that they're going to make it down the aisle. That's just my opinion. I don't see how, and if they do, it's not going to last. All right, guys, that's it for part 1. We'll be back with part 2 and talk about the rest of the couples. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you're live tweeting Fest every Sunday night. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana, Dahlia, and we'll talk to you all really soon.